In our previous lesson, I offered an original solo played over a minor jazz blues progression for which I employed what are called add 9 or add 2 arpeggios, minor add 9 or minor add 2 arpeggios. And I use that over a series of chord changes to outline their upper structure harmony using what's called parallel or constant structure motion, which basically means taking the same shape and just moving up and down the neck chromatically. In so doing, it got me thinking about the theme music to one of my favorite shows, AMC's The Walking Dead, that 45-second mini masterpiece that you hear, that haunting piece you hear at the beginning of the credits right after the opening scene. So I came up with my own cool arrangement of how to play The Walking Dead theme. The official title is The Walking Dead main title, and it's composed by a man named Mr. Bear McCreary, who originally set it for a chamber string orchestra, which is 2 violins, a viola, 2 cellos, and acoustic bass, plus a couple of other instruments in the background. So here's my arrangement of it. I'll play it for you, and then I'll break it down. So what I'm doing is taking this shape and I'm only picking the outside notes. I'm down picking the low G, and then I'm doing a hammer on from nowhere onto this D note, and then an upstroke on a high E string, hammer, pull, and then another hammer on from nowhere. So that's the sequence. And the melody, it's continuous 16th notes, but it's phrased in such a way that it kind of creates like a rhythm within a rhythm. So you have this ba 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 ba, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8, and I've heard that referred to as an 8/8 feel. Okay, so downstroke, hammer on from nowhere, upstroke, hammer on, pull off, hammer from nowhere. Okay, that measure that's outlining a G minor add 9 arpeggio is played 7 times with a gradual crescendo. Very important that you build it, create dynamics. And you'll notice I have a sock, a black sock tied around here. That's to help with the noise suppression. I mean, there's no shame, right? When you're recording in the studio, obviously you wouldn't do that on stage, it'd be ridiculous, right? But a lot of people do that. They tie a sock or a hair tie or something when they're tapping or something. And that's very helpful, as is palm muting the lower strings that I'm not playing. I'm never really playing the low E string. Sometimes I'm playing on the A string. But just to move on here, that shape is played 7 times with a gradual crescendo. And what I'm doing is I'm picking it a little bit louder each time, but I'm kind of, again, I'm cheating a little bit here. I'm using a volume pedal, which is helping me to swell into the volume. Again, there's no shame. You know, technology is here for us to use creatively, right? So I start out quietly. Gradually picking a little louder and hammering a little louder. Volume pedal. 7 times, then I go to this shape. Okay, that's E flat minor add 9. Very dark, interesting progression, right? We're going from G minor add 9 to E flat minor add 9. And that's, I'm doing the same thing, but now the notes all move over to a different string. We move down 1 string and up 1 fret. So we got E flat picked, and then this B flat note is hammered on with the ring finger. And then upstroke, F, G flat, pull off to F, hammer on, At this point, I'm playing it loud, so it's. Second time through, there's that little bass walk down. It's a little tricky. And then the same shape moves down 3 frets or minor third to C minor add 9. And then a weird little fill. That's like A flat minor add 9. So it's 6, 8, 9, 6. And again, a down pick, 2 hammer-ons, and an upstroke, and then that brings us back to the G minor again. Now here you got to really back off the volume. Again, using the volume pedal, I'm cheating, but you know, a lot of people do that, so there's no shame. And also, this is interesting, I'm playing through a tube amp, right? I have the set up to just the point where it's like mild overdrive, and then when I do the volume, this is actually a volume boost pedal, which gives me 16 decibels of clean boost, which pushes it into a heavy distortion. But I have my guitar volume, I'm using my neck pickup, I have it on about 5. So I find that that gives you more headroom and helps increase your dynamic range, meaning the softer parts can become softer and the louder parts can become louder, and it makes it more fun and responsive with your picking attack. You know, the ultimate example of that being an acoustic guitar, right? That's where everything is in the hands, right? So electric guitar, when you use tube distortion through an amp, it tends to compress the signal. So the volume pedal is kind of helping to make up for that. Okay, another thing, originally I had tried to go I mean, yeah, sounds real articulate and everything, but as you can see, my hand is working overtime. That's kind of like, that would be like the Steve Morse, John Petrucci approach to my big heroes, but I just don't have that kind of chops to keep that going, you know? So the technique I settled upon, I think, works pretty well. And you could also hybrid pick it, by the way. You can go. That's even more economy of movement there. I'm using the middle finger to pluck a high E string. Right? You could also just do it finger style. Right? You notice that the bottom note is a little softer. You know, the pick has a more pronounced attack as opposed to. It's kind of neat though to play it all with your hands though, right? And also another thing, my tempo here is a little bit faster than the original. Original was around 92 beats per minute because the violins and viola in the original score are using what's called metered tremolo. That's where they're moving the bow really fast, but they're doing it in time. So it comes out to playing 30-second notes, which is pretty virtuosic to try to do at that tempo. And that would be like what we guitar players call double picking. Forget it. There's no way I'm gonna be able to do that, right? So to compensate for that, I kind of bumped the tempo up a little bit to 100. That felt like more of a pocket, more of a groove for guitar. And you know, again, you want to palm mute the low strings. Dynamics, very important. You know, even if you don't have a volume pedal, try setting your guitar volume on like halfway and your amp to just a point where it's mildly distorted, and you know, where you pick harder, it gets louder. The hard thing though is to get that hammer up from nowhere to be louder and then get it to be soft again. But this is a great exercise for the fret hand. I tell you, this develops what I've heard people refer to as fret hand traction. You know, like those tire commercials where you see the car gripping the road. You could probably just do this. Although it would probably sound pretty darn noisy. If I didn't have the sock here, you'd hear a lot of open string slop in there. But again, by the time you get done playing this, you feel like you've given your fret hand a really good workout. And one more thing, if you want to analyze the chords, G minor add 9, you could play it way up here. Okay, I'm borrowing at the 15th fret across the bottom 4 strings, and I get the 17th fret, and then the 19th fret. That's like a sus2 stacked fifths. That's the same shape, obviously moved down a major third, down 4 frets to 11th position, E flat minor. It sounds cool if you play it slow. But then you want to get that passing tone. You lose your sustain there for a second. This is a C minor add 9. And now I'm in 8th position. The shape gets a little wider here. That's the A flat minor. And then you could play the first part down an octave here. You want to try to hop so you don't create that big squeak, right? But that's another interesting way to play it.